Hello there. Let's see. We are recording. I want to welcome you all. I'm Joan Turner of JoansArtGallery.com and intuitive bodyandsoul.com as well. And I am going to do a wine and paint for you. And this is part of a 5-part series for those who are involved in that, because it's absolutely open to everyone. But I have done a rock painting tutorial, a couple of mandala tutorials, which are great fun. I love doing those. And today we're going to do a fun and paint or a wine and paint. So I'm going to say grab your favorite beverage. Okay, I have a cup of tea here, okay, and really is tea, even though no one believes me. And we're in my home studio recording this. And it's a very unprofessional recording. So be kind, be gentle with your critique, all right? And I will also tell you that this is the second time I'm recording this, because the first time I used just my computer's camera recorder, and I did this picture for you, which was then got corrupted somehow and was not able to be read. So I'm doing it a second time. All right, now this was the first time I had done this picture, and some of you will have this handout, but all of you will kind of need it. And let me get a little bit closer so you can see it. Now I did make a change, if you can see. This handout has pink flowers in it. I wanted white. So I changed it pink. I put the pink underneath and the white on top so that there would be a nice contrast there. Okay, so I'm going to redo this picture, and with any kind of source material, like pictures or your teacher's artwork or anything on that idea, you always kind of want to let it inspire you. So if you look at a picture and say, oh my God, that is so awesome, the very next thing you should be thinking is, how can I make it even better? Because everyone is different. We all have different backgrounds, different ideas, different personality traits, so on and so forth. So we want to make it as much our own as possible. So I'm going to tell you, get your stuff ready. Okay, besides your favorite beverage, you will want to have a canvas, all right, or a canvas board, right? This is an actual canvas where the canvas has been stretched around a wood frame and then stapled here in the back, all right? And I just painted this white, so I'm getting it all over me. Typically, when I do wine and paints and fun and paints, I end up with a lot of the same pictures. So in that case, I usually, I'll either donate them to places that, nonprofits that can raffle them off and maybe get some money for it has to be for a good cause, right? Or if I end up with a lot of them, I keep the one that I like, or so on and so forth. And then I just repaint. I paint over the canvas. And that just is repurposing them. You just repurpose the canvases, right? So that we're always using them. So I'm going to just move this aside for now, because you will need a palette, okay? If you have palette paper, that's awesome. You can use paper plate. You can use a plastic coated plate. Anything will actually work. We're going to use acrylic paints. And some of you have paint kits and some of you do not, right? So the paints that you will need for this picture, we always need black and white, okay? Because white to lighten any areas, black to darken any areas. We're gonna need some brown, and I have a sienna brown, or burnt sienna. And all that means is that there's a little bit of orange in this brown, so that kind of burns it or makes it warm. It's a warmer color. Right, and I also have a burnt umber. So umber is a much darker brown than the sienna is, but they both have a little bit of orange and or yellow in them, and that will warm them up a little bit. And this is definitely a nice warm picture. Okay, so we want our browns. If you don't have brown, okay, you should at least have in your arsenal a primary color kit, which is, primary colors are red, blue, and yellow. And you can pretty much make any color from those 3 primary colors. And then of course you want to have black and white. So I would say that that's a very basic type of kit to have, because if you mix yellow and blue, you can get green. If you mix red and blue, you get purple. And how do I make brown? Okay, if you don't have brown in your kit, brown is a combination of red and green. So you would have to mix a green first and then put some red in it. I'm going to show you how to do all that cool stuff, just in case, just in case. All right, so I have some blues here. This is a cobalt blue, okay, which is a little bit lighter than a Prussian blue. And again, if you just have one blue, that's quite all right, because if you add some brown or black to this lighter blue, you'll get a darker blue. So like I said, as long as you have your primary colors, your golden. I have some orange out here. Orange is a combination of yellow and red. So if you don't have orange, don't worry about it, but you must have red and you must have yellow. Okay, so those are our colors that we need. Brushes. I have one brush in the water already, because I was, like I said, I kind of repurposed my canvas here. So I have the biggest square head brush that I have. This is a 1-inch brush, and we call it square head because it's kind of just really straight and chiseled on the top. In your kits, I think you have like a 3/4 inch or a 1/2 inch. That's fine. I'm going to say use that one. And I have a number of smaller brushes out here. I'm not going to use that one, but I have a detail brush, or a brush that has a round head on it. And this brush actually has a little bit of a point on it too, which is really good for detail. Right? And if you do not have that, I know that you have these little guys. Okay, so that helps with some of the detail work as well. Some of you may or may not have a filbert. All right, and this is like a square-headed brush, except it's rounded. And what that does for us is it makes it easier to go around like round corners type of thing if we wanted to. These 2 brushes, and I did use the smaller one. I didn't really use the bigger one. But again, these are kind of chisel-headed, but they're called angled brushes because, as you can see, this is up on an angle. So what's the advantage to that? The advantage to that is if you're laying down flat color, but you want to get a small area, and they have the point, almost like the point of a pencil, where you can get a little bit of detail work in there. Okay, so this is the same brush as this one, only fatter. Okay, so they're rounded and they have points on them to get into those smaller places. I'm thinking that you'll probably want to use at least 3 brushes. Okay, so big flat square one for background, because we want to get it on there. This one for our trees, and this for some of the details. Okay, and again, if you have a filbert, keep it nearby. You know, and when it comes to using brushes, you're going to find that you have a preference. I know someone who paints all of his pictures with this big brush. Okay, he doesn't use flathead, he doesn't use detail. Because this has a little bit of a point on it, he does the whole picture, and then he uses that little tiny point on the end to do his little details. This is his favorite brush. This is what he likes. You might find one that you really like. Okay, if that's the case, that is awesome. I find that I always use 3 brushes. Okay, I always need a big brush to get the big stuff on, a round brush to get the stuff where I need the softer edges, and then a smaller detail brush. Okay, so I find that I need a minimum of like 3 brushes. So you need your paint, you need your brushes, you need your canvas. You don't necessarily need an easel. An easel is what this canvas was sitting on, and this is actually a table easel. It's sitting on top of my art table. You don't necessarily need one of those. I have this here so it's easier for you to see, and actually it's very straight, so unnaturally straight, because I wanted it to be easily viewed by those watching. So if it happens to fall over during the demo, that's why. It's not my fault. That's why. Okay. So again, your favorite drink you will need. You will also need water dishes, bowls of water, or buckets of water, so that you can clean your brushes. And if you're not using your brushes at the time you're not using, you want to let them sit in the water, because acrylic paints, once they dry in the brush, that's it. You can't use the brush anymore. You might as well throw it out or use it for mandala painting, because it's going to be really hard and not able to paint with it anymore. Okay, same thing. You need paint clothes. These paint clothes, I don't know if you can see way over here. This paint shirt is many moons old and has been bleached a number of times. And as you can see, the color, the paint still remains, all right? So if in fact you get acrylic paint on you or something else, like if you're working on a kitchen table or something, make sure you cover it. You know, plastic table covering from the dollar store will do the trick. All right, so you want to protect those things. Wear a smock or old clothes, things that you don't mind getting stained, because if in fact, like I said, you notice that you have it on you and it's wet, then you can run into the bathroom, get some warm water and soap, and you can get it out pretty easily. But once it dries, it is permanent, very permanent. Even bleaching it will not take it out of your clothes. Okay, so old clothes, cover your table. If you're a really messy painter, cover the floor. Your water dishes, and I have 3 of them out because they're extremely messy for some reason. I don't know what happened. I always thought I was a neat person. Now I'm finding definitely not. So I have three bowls of water out, because one, I just kind of swish it around and that water gets really dirty really fast. The second one, I swish it a little bit more, rinse it out. And then the third one, the water's mostly clean. So then I know by the 3rd time, you know, my brush is clean. You don't want your water bowls to look anything like your cups or mugs or glasses, because, and I'm speaking from experience, unfortunately, that if you decide that you're going to put water in a big cup like this, when you're very focused on your painting and what you're doing, you very easily pick it up and take a nice sip and go, you know, let's say, oh my God, what did I do? And like I said, speaking a little bit from experience, so put it in something that you're not going to associate with a drink at all. So don't be putting water in your wine glasses, please. And don't be putting them in your mugs or anywhere else. Okay, so just a bowl. And I have been teaching and painting for years and years and years. So these little plastic bowls I have been using forever. So in my mind, it's very cemented in there that those are my cleaning bowls and not my soup bowls to drink out of. Okay, so without further ado, let us go ahead and start. And so I'm going to maneuver the camera around so that you have a better view of the canvas and what I'm doing. So I'm going to say ciao zola, bye-bye for now, and move my tea over. And I'm going to put my canvas here. And I'm going to move the camera here and here. Move this way, kind of facing that a little bit better. Move this back towards me just a little bit. And you want to go back here so you can see the whole canvas. Okay. So I'm going to say right about here is probably the best place. Okay, so maybe you will see me. Let me get a little closer to me, actually. Okay, so let's try this. See if I can come in more angled down this way. Ah, we're getting there. Ta-da! I think we have a winner. I feel like, what's her name there? Vanna White. This is my canvas. Ta-da! Okay, I'll behave, I'll behave. All right, so this is what we're working on, right? And the way that we're gonna start that is we're gonna have a sip of tea first. And then I'm gonna put some white paint out on my palette. Okay, I'm gonna take my white paint and I'm gonna put it on my palette. Okay, and I'm gonna put a goodly amount because I'm gonna use it to cover the first like 2/3 of my canvas. So a good amount. Don't waste your paint. You can always put more out. So maybe, you know, I have some students that just kind of really glob it on there and then they end up throwing it out because they didn't use it all. I think it's better to add to your palette as you go along. If you're mixing a color, that's a different story. If you're actually mixing a color like green or brown or a color that you don't already have pre-made in a paint container, then you want to kind of make sure you mix enough. Oh, I have a sparkle in here. It's kind of cool. Mix enough to get the job done, because then if you go to mix a second batch, it might not come out the same. Okay, so I have white here, and as I'm looking here, I know I want blue. I want a little bit of red, a little bit of orange going on over here. Okay, so I'm going to put out not a lot of red. I just want to have enough red to give a little more deeper color if I would like that to be the case. I'm going to take some yellow, which again, red and yellow are primary colors. Maybe a little bit more yellow. All right. My canvas is a 16 by 20. Those of you who have kits from DCOA are using 14 by 18s. You can actually use any size that you want. This is a big canvas because I wanted to make sure everyone could see what I was doing, but you're actually welcome to use any size canvas that you want. So I'm actually taking and putting some orange on my palette, and the only thing I am missing is blue. So I'm going to take my blue, and again, I have a cobalt blue, and I'm going to put some blue on my palette. I'm actually going to put quite a bit of blue because not only do I have blue in the sky, I also have it down here in the water, and there's a little bit of darker blues here. So you're going to want a little bit of black on your palette to kind of darken that up a little bit, or a little bit of brown, but the brown, if you don't have the brown, we'll end up mixing it for you. So I'm going to put just a little bit black out here. Okay, so here's my little bit of black. And so I am determining my palette by what I'm looking at here. So I have some blues and some kind of reddish orangey and yellow. And over here is the lightest part. This is the lightest part of the picture. So that we're probably going to use a little bit of white for. Okay, so I'm going to dip into my white here. And I'm going to begin to kind of put it right in the middle here. Okay, so this is, I'm working, if this is the middle of my canvas right here, go up from the middle, up from the middle. Okay. So about halfway is going to be my horizon line. The horizon line is where the sky meets the land. Okay, so I'm going to make that part white. Okay, and I'm painting the edges or sides of my canvas, because if I go ahead and do that, then I have the option of being able to display this without a frame. If I don't do my sides, then you kind of need to go ahead and frame. Okay, so this yellow pot in here, I'm going to pick up some yellow paint from my palette, and I'm going to go right into that white that I just painted on there. So what I'm getting is this really bright yellow here. Okay. Here, nice bright yellow. And I'm going to dip into my orange. Okay, just that much, and put it up here. Okay, so the where the yellow and the orange meet, all right, there's not a solid or heavy or very vivid line there. I'm letting them blend into each other, and I'm doing that by simply going along that place where they meet. Okay, so now keep your brush strokes long and smooth here. Okay, you're going to want to have plenty of paper towels around too, if I didn't mention that. Okay, picking up more white and putting that white over here. Okay, and the reason I'm adding more white there is there's a little bit of a highlight or a sun over there. So even though there's really not one in the picture per se, I'm going to add one in because I think that will make it look better. But we won't do it right this very moment. Okay, so again, I'm going to take the orange and redo it up here because I think I would like it darker. Okay, so let's do this and this, like that. Okay, blend the line where they meet each other. Okay, nice and smooth here. Alrighty. Okay, at the top of this orange section, then I'm going to dip into my red, and I just did a corner. Ooh, these are my brushes. All right, I just did a corner of my big brush, and I'm using that corner to put this line in, and then once I do, I'm going to flatten out my brush and do this. Okay, because again, I want to blend. I don't want there to be a solid or heavy line in between each of my my layers. Okay, so now I have lots of red on my brush. I am going to take a paper towel. These are my paper towels. Nope, it's not a big roll of toilet paper. It is an extremely huge roll of paper towels because I go through them quite often. I go through a lot of paper towels. So, and that paper towel roll I bought online, probably Amazon. I buy everything from Amazon. I probably should have bought stock in Amazon when I could. So I'm wiping my brush off with the paper towel to get the majority of the paint off of it. And then I am putting it in my water dish, okay? And just kind of swishing it around here and making sure that I get most of the paint out. And then I'm taking my paper towel again, cleaning again, and then I'm going into my second and third bowls of water. And the reason I'm being so thorough with the cleaning process here is that I want, I'm going to add the blue up here, and I don't want to have a lot of red and everything else on there, which, as I said to you earlier, red and blue will make purple. So if you have some red on your brush, don't worry about it. A little bit of purple will look absolutely awesome there. Okay, so now let's go into our blue. Okay, here's our blue, and I'm going to load the brush. Okay, so I have lots of blue on my brush because, again, I want nice smooth coverage here. I'm going to start at the top. Okay, I'm not going to start where my reddish orange is. Okay, I'm going to start at the top, and I'm painting the top of my canvas, reloading my brush. Okay, make sure your brush is dry, okay, or as dry as you can get it. If in fact you have a lot of water on your brush and you do this, you're going to get a very watery blue here. Okay, so I'm going to do my edges here, like this. Okay, and then loading the brush again, and nice smooth back and forth, nice and smooth. Yeah. Okay. Okay, picking up more blue paint. Now I am going to come down into this red area. Again, I'm not using a flat brush yet. I'm coming right across here and making sure that my line is relatively straight. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure it is. Let's bring this part down just a little bit more. Okay, so now, all right, come across. Nice, smooth strokes. Make sure your edges are done. And I need to make sure my line is straight here. Oh, okay, this doesn't look too bad here. Okay, so coming across here. All right, I want to start to blend this area out because I want a nice smooth blend into my orangey reddish area. So with just using a paper towel to dry my brush, I'm going to dip into the red just a corner. And I'm going to do my red, redo the red here. Okay, so if in fact you feel like, oh gosh, she's going too fast, because some people actually say that to me, not a lot, but some, you can always halt the video and the tape, or whatever you're viewing this on, the TV, okay, you can always kind of halt it and catch up. Okay, a little bit more white in through here because I'm not crazy about how dark that's coming out. That's kind of pretty. Okay, liking that. Let's get our yellow back in here a little bit. And then clean my brush. Okay, so my brush has quite a bit of blue on it. I think I will switch over. Okay, so let's add a little bit more white in here. So if in fact, you're painting along and you go, oh my God, that's too this or it's too that, acrylic paint dries extremely fast. So there's always the opportunity to just let it dry a little bit and then just go right over it. Okay, let's go over this pot. And I like this pot white. So again, I'm going to add a little bit more white in there. Kind of liking this pinky purple in here. Okay, I'm going to keep the whitest part over here. I'm going to, once again, come up with my orange right through here. Nice. Don't forget to do your edges. Make sure it's straight. Voila. Okay, so cleaning off my brush just a little bit, because once again I want to kind of blend this area a little bit. I want to have that line, that delineation between one color and the other. I'd like it to be a little bit of a smoother or gradual transition. So I'm going just over where those two meet. And I'm not putting a lot of pressure on my brush. Okay, I just want to soften that line. Okay, and I'm looking in the screen. It doesn't quite look even, but I guess it is, just the angle of the screen. Okay, I'll get used to it. All right, so here's this. Now, once again, let's take and bring this orange up a little bit more here, a little bit more of the red. Okay, so kind of having a little bit of a redo here, which it's okay. It's okay, we can handle it. Okay. I'm going to take my red and just go over this part. And like I say, if you have red and blue meeting each other, you're going to end up with a little bit of a purple section in here, which actually looks very cool. Okay, so again, blending where those two meet. And I will tell you right off the bat that all of my students, they're awesome, and they have we have the best time. Typically, they all have problems with the blending, at least at first. Okay, so the blending takes a light touch in some places, a little bit heavier in other places. Okay, and it kind of depends on the paint and how it's sitting on the canvas. Plus, there are many different grades of paints. Okay. So let's blend all of this good stuff in. And now my blue is relatively dry, and I want to take and darken it a little bit, especially around these upper corners. So as I said to you earlier, you can do that by just getting a little bit of black into your blue. Whenever you add black to any color, you gray it. All right, so this would be a dusty blue. All right, if I added this to a pink, then I would end up with a dusty rose or a dusty pink. Okay, so especially up in these corners, I want to kind of see it really, I want the contrast. And when you look at a picture, when you're looking at the work and you're thinking to yourself, there's something is amiss here. I'm not really sure what it is, but something's not quite the way I want it to be. The first word that should come to your mind is contrast, because usually there's either too much contrast or there's not enough contrast. Okay, but I find that in most cases, contrast is the culprit. Okay, so I also would like to kind of blend that in a little bit. So I don't want to just have blue corners. So I'm just lightly with my brush, okay, pulling that paint. All right, don't forget your edges. Don't forget your edges and your top. Okay, so I'm finding that I need a little bit more blue on my palette. Right? So again, don't waste your paints. Right? It's easier for you to add more paint to your palette than if you have to end up throwing it away. You won't be happy. Okay. So I want this nice and smooth over here. Okay. Let's get a little bit more paint over here. All right. I'm gonna, like I said, I use an awful lot of paper towels here. I can just brush this out just a tad. Okay, so there, we are looking good. We're about here, all right? So now our horizon line is going to be right about here. Okay, so I'm going to put that there. But now this water line here, all right, we're going to do this blue all the way down. Okay, go all the way down with your blue. Load your brush and go from side to side. So again, we have a nice smooth horizon line. I need to look at it full face here, make sure it's even. Okay, so right. Okay, so cover the bottom half of your canvas with blue paint. And again, use wide strokes, smooth, wide strokes. Now, on the top of this canvas and in our skyline, we took a great deal of time and making sure that we got them really smooth, the strokes really smooth. Okay, on the water, you have a little bit more flexibility because it's water. And water typically has ripples in it, okay? But I'm still gonna try and get it on there relatively smoothly. I want good coverage, especially where this is a repurposed canvas. Okay, so I'm gonna go all the way across, back and forth. Okay. I'm going to pick this up and hopefully not mess anything up and do not only this side but underneath here. Okay, and I am going to put it right down, back down on the canvas, on the easel. Okay, let me take a look here. If I can do it without getting in my hair. I was doing this color blue. It was this color blue too. I was doing a demo for a church group, women's church group. And this was, oh gosh, I want to say about 5 years ago now. It was quite a while, maybe 4 or 5 years. And they were having their meeting, and as part of the festivities, I was there and doing a demo, and it was of a lighthouse and ocean scene, and it was this really awesome piece I had picked out. And part of the reason for picking it out is I had done it several times before, and I knew that we had time constraints, and I wanted to make sure it was a picture that I could do in the time that was allotted to me. So as they're progressing with the meeting, I'm looking at my watch, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is, the time was ticking away. They were a little bit behind schedule. I thought, I should have picked an easier picture, so on and so forth. So by the time we got to my demo, I was painting away like a crazy person. And I'm talking as I'm going along the way I am now. I'm doing this because of this, doing that because of this. And I was headed up kind of high over my head so that everyone could kind of see what was going on. And so I'm painting away, and all of a sudden, all this blue sky, the whole canvas comes over and on top of my head. And and I just picked it up, threw it back onto the easel, and just kept right on painting. And so people were kind of chuckling, blah, blah, blah. But I was like, no, it's okay. Don't worry about it. So I continued and finished the picture, and you know, afterwards I tried to wash the blue out of my hair, and I did have an assistant with me, and so she's, you know, she's trying to help me and stuff. And honest to God, I could not get that blue out of my hair. So for a month after that, because it took a month of washing it to finally get it to come out, and I think part of it was just my hair was growing, and people kept saying to me, "Wow, I like what you did to your hair," because the, you know, the whole top of it was this really bright blue. So I'm sure that they were just being nice about it, but everyone commented on my very blue hair. So I did again take a little bit of black into that blue so that I could get a little bit darker down here. Okay, nice and smooth. Okay, and I am, there we go. Okay, so this is a very brilliant. Every time I do something like this, even if it's a repeat work, people say to me, "Oh, do you get tired of doing the same things?" Blah blah blah. And yeah, definitely. You know, if I'm doing 5 of them, I'm kind of wishing that people would choose something different. But without exception, each one comes out a little bit different. Okay? So look at the background on that one, and look at the background on this one. Okay, here's this background, and here's that background. You can see that this background is a lot lighter. This one is deeper. And my thought today, when I was redoing this particular one, I thought to myself, I'm gonna make the colors deeper. So I guess I did do that. Okay, so once again, I'm gonna clean my big brush. Because I'm thinking I'm gonna wanna add a little bit of green to my water, okay? So I told you before that blue and yellow makes green. So I'm going to just dip my brush into the yellow actually, and just brush it in right into my blue. Okay. So again, blue and yellow make green. Right. So brushing this in just a tad here and there. Okay. I'm going to really kind of lighten up this area right here, all the way across. I want this area to be on the lighter side. Okay, so this is quite remarkable. Let me do this. Okay, and I'm going to come almost, I want some of the blue to show through, so I'm not going as smooth as I was before, but I'm bringing down this color a little bit here, because my sun is going to be right about here, so I want my lighter colors to be right here. I'm going to bring them down here. That's kind of cool there. Okay. So look, that's kind of cool. Okay. So what we're looking for here is we want to see some of the colors that are here reflected here. All right. So while this green is drying a little bit, okay, I'm going to put a little bit of white over some of it. Okay, so I'm going to lighten it up even more. in preparation for covering it with a little bit of more yellow and orangey colors and what's in the sky. Okay, so we have the blue already. Okay, so we want to put some of this good stuff going on down here. And I want some here. A little bit more on this side. Okay, so we're already lightening this area. Okay, I'm going to keep this side relatively. I'm going to not put so much light color here because, like I say, our is going to be here. Let's bring some of this down here. There we go. There we go. I apologize for my squeaky table. Okay, good, good. I'm going to take a little bit of blue and add it to my white. I'm going to put just some different shades of blue in here because we can, because we are the creator. Let's bring some of this over here. Nice. So what we're ending up with here is some nice contrast. Okay, I had said to you, contrast is going to make all the difference. So we have these really dark blues in here. We have some really light blues in here. Okay. And again, your picture does not have to be exactly like mine or like the handout. Mine is already different from it. Okay, and different from yesterday's. Okay, so I have the blue matching the blue down here. I'm going to add a little bit of orange and reds down here. But before I do, I'm going to put in my horizon line. Okay, so let me clean off with my brush. Okay, so this is the brush I was showing you earlier, and it has a little bit of a point on it. It's a nice round brush, and I want to make this horizon line, which is kind of a mountain line. It's definitely brown, okay? So if you do not have brown, you're going to want to mix blue and yellow to make some green here. Right, and then you can pick up some red, and voila, you have brown. Okay, here's brown. And you can get a nice deep brown, right? You can make a lighter brown. You are the creator. Okay, so now I am going to take and do this horizon line, and I'm not going to make it smooth at all. I want some little kind of mountainy areas going on here. Okay, so I don't want just a straight line here. Okay, pick up my blue, and over here, I think I want even a more scraggly, kind of larger mountains through here. Okay, and we want to come all the way across, and again, I am not making this a nice smooth line because very rarely actually will you have a nice smooth line there. Okay, usually you have some mountainy areas. I'm going to move this out of my way. Let's try this one. All right, so if you if this line is not quite dark enough, you can add a little bit of black to your brown. That will do the trick. Give this another nice little coat here. I want another nice little mountain area here. There's a smaller one. Then I want a kind of big one again through here. So work the line. Ta-da! Work it, lick it. Okay. This comes about a third of the way. Let me make another little one here. A little bit. Pick up a little bit more pink. I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger. And you won't have any problem making these mountains. They're basic triangle shapes. With any kind of artwork, you're going to find that everything is either one of the 4 basic shapes or a variation on the 4 basic shapes. And of course, the 4 basic shapes are the circle, the square, the cylinder, and the cone. Okay, so a mountain is a kind of cone shape here. So I'm going to come in just a little bit more so you can see what I'm doing here. Okay, so I think maybe a little bigger here. Okay, so I'm looking for variety, a little bit of interest. Okay, I'm going to make this a little bit more here. All right, so then the other thing that you can do is kind of stand back from your work and say, does it look as good as I think it does? Okay, and the answer is yes, you're good to go. And if it's not, then you're going to make a few little corrections here and there. Okay, I am actually going to pick up some of my black paint, and I'm not cleaning off my brush here. And I'm going to just put in a little bit of black at the base here. Maybe where one mountain kind of can be distinguished from the other. But remember that these are off into the distance. So you are you're not gonna see a lot of detail here. You're just gonna see shadow, okay, and the overall profile or shape of the mountains in here. That's just a little bit of interest. Okay, and I'm gonna pick up a teensy bit of white, and I'm still not cleaning off my brush here. And even though it's not in that handout, let's give our mountains just a little bit of light at the tops of them, because we do have all this light going on here. So, just very faint kind of light areas in here where we would see a teensy bit of change or highlight. Okay. So we have black on the bottom. We have a little bit of light on the top. It's extremely cool. Okay, so now I'm going to just take my paper towel and clean this brush. I'm not going to put it into the water because I want to leave some of the brown on here, but I want to smooth out some of this white. I don't want it to be a really bright white. I want it to be a white that is kind of muted.
Hello, you have reached 978-521-0215. Unable to take your call.
Okay. All right, so hopefully we don't get another call between our class here. All right, so again, just kind of going over these little whitish areas. I don't want any bright white here. All right, I just want a little bit of light that's happening from this really round area. So I am going to clean off my brush. And now I'm going to actually put in a light moon shape right here, like right there. Okay, so I'm going to take white paint and put it right about here. Okay, I want that nice and round in there. And I am going to need more white paint. So again, you know, add your paint as you need it. Don't waste your paint, okay? Always easier to just put more on there. Okay. So while I have this on here, I'm going to paint a little bit more white in my sky because this sun is so nice and bright that it's going to throw off some white light, and it doesn't have to be overly defined here. All right, so there's some yellow behind it. Yeah, so I'm going to just let that dry a little bit, maybe even make it a little bit bigger. There we go. Okay. And my thought is that after this dries out a little bit, we'll, because right now it's kind of a very yellowy, whitish sun here, like right here. And after that dries a little bit, we can get even a little bit more highlight on here, which will be extremely cool. Okay, so let's go back to our water here. All right, I want to not only use my white here, now I want to be able to introduce some of these colors here. So I'm going to pick up my yellow. I'm going to start putting yellow and white over here. And if this green is dry enough underneath, we should be able to do that. And we can. Okay. So I'm going to pick that up and bring it all the way up here. I'm going to dip into my orange. If you don't have orange, remember red and yellow, and you will have orange. Okay, I'm going to lighten this up a little bit with the white. Coming right up against my horizon line. There we go. Right, and don't forget, we want some of the blue to really just kind of show through here. But we want to pick up these colors and we want them to show in our water. Okay, so let's pick them up. All right, now, if we hadn't lightened them up a little bit first, this would not be as easy as it is right now. And again, we want some of the blue to show through. Okay, I want to do this horizon line. Okay, the horizon line is where the sky meets the ground or the earth. Okay, nice. Let's leave some of the blue over here. Come over here. Okay, so now we're starting to get a little bit more of what we're looking for here. Okay, so a little bit more orange coming down this way. Okay. Let's do more here. We have quite a bit of orangey yellow going on over here. I'm going to just stick my elbow in the paint. Okay, and these are pretty hot colors by themselves. And I actually picked up a little bit of blue along my way here. So let's clean that off. So if you add a little bit of white to them, you will dilute them a little bit, and then you're going to get a more reflective kind of color here. Okay. So where this is kind of deeper, all right, this goes from light to orangey reddish blue. So we're going to go from light to orangey reddish blue. Okay. And let's kind of liking this part over here, the way that it is. Let's put some down here. A little bit here. I want to bring this light over here a little bit more. Down here. And I'm going to need more orange because I got blue in mine. Give yourself, like I said, a little at the time. Just got some tea. I'm going to put out a little bit more yellow. Okay. So this part closest to this yellow wants to be more yellowy. Okay. So give us that yellow. Give us more yellow right here. Okay. And from there, we're going to go into our orange. Let your yellow fade out into your orange. It's kind of cool down here. It's very orangey yellowy down here. I'm going to put a little bit more orange in. So again, we have this really bright, very jumping out at us. So I'm going to not clean off my brush. I'm going to put it right into the white. And again, the lightest part wants to be right here. So I'm going to tone down some of the really bright stuff I have going on here. Now we're talking. So we have this, which has a great deal of white in it because of our highlights in here. Okay, and then we're going into our yellows and then into our oranges. Okay. This is a really hot picture. Some of this out and a little bit more color. This little guy here. But for the most part, I'd like to kind of keep this relatively blue. Remember our tree is going to kind of start over in that corner. Okay. So now I have some lines of demarcation where where I don't necessarily want to see it. I want to blend it a little bit better. So I am wetting the brush and then just really drying it relatively good here. And I'm going to, again, take a little bit of this blue and white concoction over here and just kind of smooth out some of these areas. And sometimes making even new areas. I'll smooth them out just a tad. They're kind of meeting each other here. I'm actually kind of liking all of that cool stuff in there. This might be a little bit too yellowy. So this is a good time to go ahead and really look at this and say, you know, okay, is this the way I want it to look? And because we're going to get ready to put our foreground tree on, and this is another quite common thing for students is they'll go ahead and they'll do the foreground and then they'll go back and try and change the background again, right? Once your background is on here, I'm going to say leave it be, leave it alone, because what you're going to end up seeing happen here is that, you know, you put the tree on there and then you decide, oh, well, this could be this way or that way, and then you're having to go back and rework your background, which I have never seen that work out really well. Okay, so you want to make sure that this is the way you want it to look before, in fact, you go to the next step. Now, as I'm standing back looking at this, thinking we could have a little bit softer stuff going on here. Yes. There's so much stuff here, it's hard to stand that. Okay, so these I'm thinking they're a little too bright for me. Okay, so I'm gonna, once again, take my white, okay, just dipping the white in here a little bit and just kind of going over these just a little bit. And what I'm doing is right now they're very vivid, very bright colors. So I'm kind of making them less bright. Okay, so just a little bit of subdued yellows and oranges in here. And again, we want to make sure this looks the way we want it to before we go ahead and put the foreground in. So I am going to actually take a little bit more of this blue, and I added a little bit of black to it because I'm thinking that I have too much going on over here. So let's go ahead. Okay, see how easy it is to adjust and or fix things, especially, like I said, once the paint dries, it's really, you know, you want the paint wet if in fact you are trying to blend. Okay, it's always easier to blend if the paint is wet. But if you're trying to repaint an area, always easier to do when the paint is dry. Okay, so getting to know your paints is a good thing as well. Okay, Like what works best? You know, when is it good to work the paint wet? When is it okay to let it work dry? Okay, so I'm just, once again, kind of making these a little bit more wispy. Okay, they were just a teensy bit too intense here. Okay, so as we get away from the glare of that sun, the highlights start to die down just a little bit. Okay, I'm going to clean my brush. All right, and again, there's no rush to do this. When we do this in like a wine and paint type of situation, we're really having to kind of stay within a certain time frame, because I mean, you know, if you're the type of person like me who can sit here and work on a picture for 5 hours, that's all well and fine, but most people cannot do that. They have other things going on in their lives, okay? So most people are not able to do that. So we have to work within a certain time limit, time constraint. And so we do have to kind of, you know, I run them for like 3 hours at a time. And this is a relatively simple piece and probably would not take 3 hours, but most of the pieces that we do take 3 hours, sometimes a little bit longer, because, you know, I know, and I'm nothing against anyone else's wine and paint. They're all cool and they're all fun, but I like to have a piece that I would like to have hanging in my home, if in fact it were, you know, if it were me. So some of the pieces that we do are not just whimsical, or, you know, a lot of them are, and I have some hanging here. So towards the end of the class, maybe I can even show you some of the ones that we have done. Again, I am Joan Turner, JoansArtGallery.com, but I'm also the resident artist at the Drake Council on Aging, and run a year-round Wednesday art class there from noon to 2. And we also, you know, for those who can't make that kind of long-term commitment, we have a once-a-month fun and paint, which is our version of wine and paint. So absolutely keep that in mind, and we have done a number of them there. This sun has dried just a little bit, so I'm taking just a little bit more white paint and just not doing the whole thing, just on one side, and it kind of gives it a highlight here, a highlight. So you can join us there. We have about, when the class is full, we have about 10 in the weekly class. And we can fit more than that. We can fit like 14 in there. So there's room for you when classes come in, because right now the center is closed. And fun and paint, same thing. We've had as many as 14, 15 in there. And then I've had classes where there were only like 4 or 5. So either, you know, it's always good, always a good thing. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit more white around this funny kind of guy. Because again, if we have something that is that bright, it's definitely going to throw some sunshine in. So I'm kind of really liking this, and I like the fact that the colors down here are matching the colors up here, more or less, okay? It shouldn't be an exact match because this is water, right? So we want to see a little bit of break here and there, and so on and so forth. However, now we are ready for our tree. Ta-da! All right, so don't be afraid to do the tree. The tree is not as hard as it looks. The tree is going to come up from this corner. It's going to come here. It's going to come up here. And the little branches are going to come off this way. Okay? So we are definitely going to need some brown to do that. And I'm going to use I had some tea here. Definitely going to use some sienna brown or burnt sienna. Okay, and again, that burnt sienna is a brown with orange in it. If you don't have that color, okay, it's brown with orange in it. So I'm going to do that. And I'm also going to take the darker brown that I created. Okay, I'm not going to take it out of that tube because that is very dry in there. The paints can dry out pretty easily. Okay, let's see here. Let's see, okay, coming out. And if you're mixing, okay, if you're mixing browns, if you're making your own brown, this one is like empty. If you're mixing your own colors, this would be one case where I would say make sure you mix enough because you're going to want to have enough for your tree. Now, having said that, I'm going to put some colors and whatnot in the tree. And because a tree bark is not a smooth thing, it's all right if it's a little bit choppy. So let's choose a brush. Okay, now for this tree, because I kind of want to have a guideline in here, I'm going to kind of start with a thinner brush, right? And it's a whole bunch is easier to make the tree thicker than it is to make it thin once it's too thick. So stay on the thin side just to get the shape and direction of the tree, and then we'll go ahead and we'll work it afterwards. Okay, so we definitely want to do that. Okay, so I'm looking here for guidance, but as always, you know, you are free to do whatever you want, right? So here's my tree. I'm going to turn this a little bit more towards me for a second here. And I want this to come out here like this. I want a little bit of a knot there. And then this is going to come up here like this. It is going to come here. Most tree limbs kind of go out to the side, up, out. Okay, so we want to, again, don't make anything really thick yet. Just kind of looking for direction. Okay, and once this kind of takes off over here, where the tree bends a little bit, sometimes there's a little bit of a twig thing going here. And I'm using the lighter version of paint here. Okay, here's another one here coming off of this. All right, so again, just looking for direction. Okay, so this is also a kind of cool little guy coming off of here, which I think would be really awesome to kind of keep. It really extends itself way over to here. And again, let the paint run out of off the brush because no heavy lines here. Okay, and right about here, there's another little one that comes down here and goes this way. So already we're getting this kind of cool shape going on, right? On this side, come up on the other side. Keep this tree thin because we can always add to our tree. Okay, so I'm going to do that. And this tree is going to come out like this and this. I'm going to give it a few angles, nodules. Okay, and there's a little bit of a elbow or a nub, a nib, a knot in the tree right here. Then it's going to kind of come up this way. And remember, they kind of go up and angle out. Okay, so this one's going to come out here. And it's going to come up here and like this. Keep them on the thin side. Okay, I'm going to let the brush run out of paint as do this over here, up and out, and maybe even another little one over here, just because I want to. Right? So right here, where my two branches are kind of meeting, okay, this little guy here is going to be a little thicker here. All right. So now, before we finish thickening, let's fix and finish this part up here. This comes here. There's this little nubby nodule thingy down here, and then let's see where you split. About here, I'm going to say. So, and again, does this have to be exactly like the handout? Absolutely not. Does it have to be exactly like mine? Absolutely not. It should be exactly like yours. Okay, so we have some little branches kind of branching off here, which is kind of cool. Connect these. And then I think I need to have another one coming up here. Okay, so I'm going to come up off of this, like that, and come up here. Remember that they kind of come up and out, and they're kind of angling off and away into the distance. Let the paint kind of disappear off the end of the brush. Okay, so kind of doing one of these. And even though we don't see one here, I'm going to do a little bit of a, I like that idea there. All right, so now let's take a step back. Let's take a look. Let's take a look here. Not too shabby, not too shabby. So now I'm going to work on the basic shape of my tree. Okay, so I want to kind of getting a base coat on here, and I have some light browns and some dark browns, and you can use both, and we will end up using both as well. And now my blue is not totally dry down here, so some of the blue got into the tree, which looks absolutely awesome. I am so going to leave it there. Cool. Okay. So let's work on our tree. So this one has kind of a knot right here. Okay, this where the two meet could be a teensy bit thicker. Okay, this you can see my water through it. So I'm going to add a little bit more paint so that you can't see my water through it. I like this blue in my tree. That is definitely going to stay. Liking it. So I'm looking at this tree. This is pretty thick in through here, which means this needs to be a little thicker here. So again, remember that it's harder to make them too thin if in fact, it's difficult to thin them out if in fact you make them too fat. So it's a lot better if in fact you have to add a little bit more bulk to it. Okay. So we're going to do that here, and maybe a little bit here, and kind of stand back a little bit and kind of get an idea for what's going on. I do have a darker brown here, and remember, if you made your own brown, okay, to get it darker, all you had to do is add some black to it. All right, so I'm going to take this darker, and I'm going to brush it right through here. Okay, and that's going to give me some awesomely good, some good value changes in here. And this brush, I think I'm actually going to switch back to my big brush, okay, especially for down here. Let's see if I can get it a little closer for you. Okay, so I'm switching back to my big brush, which has been sitting in my bowl of water. So we don't want our tree to be watery and start dripping down our canvas. So once again, make sure your brush is not full of water. Make sure it's pretty clean here. Okay, seeing a little bit of nubbiness here, which is fine. Okay, I like nubs. Giving my tree a little bit of color. So I've gotten my big brush out and I'm dipping in my darker brown because I'm thinking that I want to run along this edge, and there's enough paint on this tree that is actually kind of streaking it, and that is looking very cool. Okay. So kind of going along and putting in some darker areas. Some I'm leaving really dark, some I'm leaving really, really light. So, you know, which do you leave dark, which do you leave light? It is totally, totally up to you. Okay, so I like the darkest parts to be kind of around the edges, of the tree. That's going to make it, give it a really round look. It's not going to look flat on our paper, on our canvases, honey. Okay, so switching to a smaller brush, so I can get in these tinier edges in through here. Okay, and actually even just making a few more little branchy things because I want to. No other reason. And I want to. Okay, so I have the darkest paint is around these edges, around the sides of the tree. Okay, and the lightest parts are in the center here. Okay, and that is what makes it have that cylindrical look. Doesn't look flat. Just kind of yesterday when I realized that the file was corrupt and that I was gonna have to redo this. I was kind of like, oh my God, moaning and groaning. And then now that I'm doing it, I actually like the idea because again, I'm doing it a little bit different than yesterday. Yesterday I did the lighter values, and this time definitely went deeper and darker, certainly. And you definitely, you as you're painting along, absolutely you're going to say, well, I think she did a little too dark. I'm going to do it a little bit lighter, whatever that might be. Remember that you are the creator. You're always the person who is making the important decisions here. I'm just kind of letting you know where the lights and darks go. Okay. So as I'm looking in the camera, I'm seeing this area. Sometimes when you see things in reverse, it can make a difference. So I'm going to, I don't like the severity of that. So I'm actually going to go ahead and make this one a little bit thicker so that I can soften that arc a little bit. Okay, so that looks kind of better already. Okay, so let's give this a little bit more going. Oh yes, that looks mucho better. Okay, let's do this. Let's do this. Really soften that up a little bit. Okay. Better. There we go. Okay. Squeaky, kind of squeaky table. I'm leaning on it. I'm leaning over this painting here. Okay, so looking at it in the camera, I'm liking it. I'm looking at it outside the camera, I'm liking it. I might need a little bit more contrast into here. Let's put that in there. Okay, now this part of the canvas, at least mine, is extremely dark. So I'm going to put the lighter blues up there so that my tree shows up a little bit better. Okay. Same thing over here. Because this is relatively dark here, I'm gonna opt for the lighter of the browns. You can see that. Okay, I'm liking it. So what you can see, really here, okay, is different colors in that tree, right? And I am going to make even more colors in my tree because I'm going to take my square brush. I'm going to put my detail brush in the water and take my square brush. And I'm going to pick up some red and I'm going to pull it right through the bottom of this tree. Okay, let's put some color up here. And I get all the time, especially from my assistant, why are you putting that in that tree? And I'm like, because I like it. Okay, I'm going to take a little bit of this orange and pull this up in there as well. Okay, and this is such a warm toned picture that I think bringing the reds and oranges into it like this is it actually adds to the warmth of the picture. I like it. Okay, so let me show you up close what happened here. Okay. So I'm going to kind of leave some of that stuff in there, dipping a little bit in the red some more, kind of coming up here, at least in the thicker parts of the tree. And put a little bit more color going on over here and here. Okay, but most of it's going to be right here, and it's going to kind of ease on out with our branches and so on and so forth. Okay, so take a look, take a breather, take a look at your picture and how awesome I'm sure it is. And again, let's do a little bit of a comparison here. Okay, let me hold it up closer, right, so you can kind of see what's going on. This actually color scheme might be a little bit closer to than the one that I did yesterday. Is a little bit more pastel-y in nature. Okay, and again, I kind of made the, you know, I wanted them pink, but then it was, this part of the picture was so nice and soft that the red almost seemed too harsh. So I went over them with white because we are the creator. We can do that. Okay. So now we're going to think flower placement. And we're going to kind of do the same thing here. These flowers are really kind of rose colored. So I'm going to do, you can make them rose colored. I'm going to kind of opt for the white again because I just really liked what was going on there. Although we are going to start with a kind of reddish pinkish first, and then we're going to go over it with our white. Okay, so I'm cleaning off a brush, and I'm cleaning off the biggest round brush that I have, which is this. Okay, so you probably want a round-headed brush over a square-headed brush because the petals are round, they're not square. So I'm going to take my white and my red here. I'm going to kind of mix it, but I want it to be really more red than white at this point. I'm going to put the white on top of it. So I'm going to put out a little bit more red paint for myself. And if you need more red paint, you put it out for yourself as well. And again, I'm going to take my red and mix it in that white so I get kind of a dark pink, if you will. Okay, so now these we want to just kind of touch just touching the canvas for these smaller pieces. Okay, and just touching, and you can see what's happening here. The pink is kind of good for this background. Okay, so I'm gonna keep moving forward with it. Right, so I'm gonna put a little tiny ones on this branch going forward. There are some way down here. Okay. And the easiest way and the most natural way to kind of do this is to just kind of tap a little bit. Okay, and for the smaller flowers, you just don't tap the whole brush, obviously. Okay, if you have bigger flowers, absolutely. Now this one, because it's such a dark area behind it, you almost don't see it. So this would be a good candidate for a white highlight. Okay, so some of these flowers are kind of on their side or they're not facing us. So we'll put them that way. Okay, I have quite a few over here, just little kind of buds doing their thing here. Have almost a little double flower over here. Okay, and these particular flowers have five petals on them, at least when they're facing you. Okay, if they're off to the side, you don't quite see as many. Put one here. Okay, and we're able to do this because, like I said, paint dries relatively fast. There are definitely still some wet spots on this tree, but because I'm not brushing, I'm just dabbing, I am able to get them on there. And plus this part up here is a little bit more dry. So I work up here, that will give the other parts a chance to dry a little bit. Okay. Wherever you have a branch, you're going to see some flowers here. Put another one right here. This one's kind of big. So when they're kind of big, I'm pressing a little bit harder on the brush so that I get more flower petals. Okay, so I'm kind of looking up here, and I see this kind of a big one right here. All right, and some of these flowers, especially in the darker areas, if we just kind of dip into this here and then maybe even a little into the white. Okay, so that we have kind of a mixed brush, and that's why these are coming out kind of whitish color. Okay, so I'm going to do one here, just one, I think. And over here, I'm going to do two little ones. So there's the little buds coming out over there, and some of them coming out right here. So that's okay. I like that. Let's change this one. Okay, it's quite all right if they overlap. As a matter of fact, they kind of look kind of good overlapped. Again, some of these are not facing us. They're a little bit on their side. So we're going to just do maybe 3 petals. Although that one looks like it needs more. Let's do it. Your picture, a lot of times compositions kind of create themselves. Like, okay, I want to do a little one there. I don't know. It looks like it wants to be a big one. Let's do the big one. Okay, so some of these can do smaller. Okay, that one's kind of on its side a little bit. So let's do that. Okay, a little bit coming down the stem. Same thing here. Little kind of buds. Okay, and really am just touching to the canvas. Okay, there's a good size one over here. And that's kind of like right here. So let's make it. Okay. That looks kind of cool right there. Let's do this little guy here. Sort of just growing on its side over there. This one too. There we go. That's a few more kind of coming up here, kind of growing all the way up here. This one. Nice. So we have a nice variety of sizes here. Okay, so let's do this. And I'm gonna kind of look here, have some going up here. We have a couple up here. Could do a couple more here. Okay. Let's do a couple down here. Stand back for a second and take a look. Ah, cool. Okay, so we are going to put a little bit more highlight on those, but let's let those rest for a minute. I'm going to take the excess paint off of my brush and put it in the water. Now, the pot that you've all been waiting for with bated breath. Some of you probably didn't even see it, but there's a little a swan with little baby swans over there as well. Okay, and we're going to put those little guys in. All right. So here's my picture so far. This is what it's looking like over here. And I'm definitely going to take my smallest detail brush. Okay, and if you've had yours in the water, and I've had mine in the water, make sure it's clean. And you will notice that these little swans and their mom are not a real bright white. Okay, and in this picture, we didn't make them a real bright white either. Okay. And what I told you before is that, you know, everything that you see is a basic shape, including these swans. So I am going to try to figure out where do I want to put that swan. And I actually, well, here's my sun and my swan, right about here maybe. Okay, so let me put a little spot there. Here, how far down do we want it? Maybe right about there. Okay, and just make a decision. Again, perfection is not an issue here. Okay, so I'm going to roll in my paint a little bit, but I'm actually going to take a teensy bit of this brown and kind of roll in there because, again, I don't want a pure white swan. I want him to be a little bit off white, just a little bit off white. Okay, so now I would like to hold this up so you can see what I'm doing, but I'm not sure I can hold it up and paint at the same time. But over here, I'm going to put just a little bit of an oval like this, okay? And then a neck, and then a little dot for the face. So it doesn't get any easier than that. That's pretty cool. Right, and for the little, here are four little guys here. So let me see if I can get close enough so you can see the detail. I'm just going to put a dot, and I'm rolling my brush in my off-white paint. And what that's doing is it's making a dot of paint right on the tip of my brush. So what I'm doing is just little bits of little dabs here. Okay, little dabs like this, and then little teeny heads, little necks. And that's pretty much the whole thing here. Okay, want these little guys. I actually would like to have a little guy out here too. I think this would give me some nice balance. Okay. So just little dots of color. You know, your brain is this marvelous, marvelous instrument. and knows exactly what you're trying to see here. So it'll see those little dots of white, and it'll say, "Ah, okay, that's supposed to be a little baby swans." Okay, so here are my baby swans, and now I'm going to rinse off that little brush. And again, I'm going to take a little bit of my black, and I'm literally just dipping the point in the black. Okay. Now around this swan, you can see there's a little dot where the eye is, and just a little bit of black. Okay, and again, it doesn't need to be perfect. Okay. Just touching the little baby's faces. Okay, so there's my swan. I'm going to take a little bit of I'm going to take a little bit of this off-white color, and I'm going to pick up a little bit more brown here and mix it in. So I have a slightly darker brown, and I am, with that, going to create just a little bit of a wing here. Okay. And again, nothing. You don't need anything spectacular here. All right. I'm going to clean off my brush once again. Okay. And I'm going to dip my brush in the orange. And again, just the very point of the brush, and just touch it to where the black is, but don't cover the black. Okay. So see, now we have a little beak. Our little guys have little beaks. Ta-da! All righty. Perfect, perfect. Put your brush in your water. Okay, and take a look. Take a look at your picture. See how really awesome it is. Take a look at it. If you need to pause the recording, go ahead and pause the recording until you catch up, until you're in a comfortable place, because you will definitely, oh, I think I missed a slide. Definitely let yourself catch up. You want to be working in your comfort zone. Okay, so I'm just doing this edge, a little bit of brown here, and some here as well. Okay, well, oh, see, this is a problem, Joan. Okay, so when you do that, be careful that you don't do what I just did. All right, so now we have our little swans kind of swimming around in there. I'm going to take my very pointed brush and a little bit of my bluish blackish color here, and I'm going to put it underneath my swans, because as they're swimming around, they're creating these little tiny ripples. Okay, and actually going to dip into the black a little bit and make it even darker. Okay. All right. Let's clean off this brush. And we're going to clean it off quite good, because we're going to put some highlight on these flowers, which means that the brush has to be clean and it has to be dry. Okay, let me see, are we still in frame here? Let's go back just a little. Moved you around quite a bit. Clean off your brush. Okay, and make sure you dry it pretty good. I mean, you want to make sure any additional kind of water is out of here. So that's pretty dry. Okay, so I'm actually kind of liking these flowers here. These flowers could use a little bit of highlight. These could use a little bit of highlight. So I'm going to take the red that we mixed to make this pink color, and I'm going to add a little bit more white to it. All right, and the reason I'm doing that is to create a highlight color. So we're staying in the pink family, certainly, but we're going to highlight. Okay, and maybe even a little whiter than that. There we go. Okay, so dipping in the white. Nice. Whoop. Paint came right off of that. Okay, so if that happens to you, and it might, because we really dabbed this paint on quite heavy, just let it sit there, and then once it dries a little bit, we'll be able to redab it. Okay. So like I said, some of these are very light and feathery, and I really kind of like them as they are. So I'm going to kind of leave them alone, but some of these, I would like to make them a little bit lighter, especially when they're up against this part of the canvas that has so much color on it that the values are similar enough that we're kind of losing our flowers a little bit. Okay. So again, just kind of dabbing, because I would like for some of that pink to come through, and I don't want to overwork the colors, right? So I want to leave them be. This little guy over here. Let's dab. Like that. Let's give this a little highlight. And I am not dabbing directly over the same spots. I want that layered look. Okay, I want this layered look. I want to see shadow. I want to see highlight. Okay, so again, just kind of dabbing in the white here. Okay, and just a little bit of color, a little bit of paints. Okay, this one's pretty solid. So if I do this to it, that lightens it up quite a bit. And this guy, I'm only going to do the ones in front, the background ones, but I'm very pinky. Okay, let's do some of these. And with these, okay, I want to make sure we kind of know that this one is in the front here. Okay. This one is in the back. So what I'm doing, because I want to make sure that one's in the back, is I'm just using pink to kind of redo that. into the white. Yeah. Okay, so that puts this flower in the front. Okay, this, again, just a little into the white. Let's bring just a tad of color. Yeah. I'm going to leave those up there. I like it. Let's bring just a little bit of color in here and here. Yeah. And against this really dark blue part, you could really play around quite a bit in through here because it's such a dark background. When we put light on there, that again, you're going to think the word contrast, and that contrast is going to really make a difference in this part of the flower. Okay. So again, not necessarily dabbing over the whole petal here. Okay. So this little guy, let's re-dab you and see what we end up with. More brown. This little guy, let's just take that one right off of it. About red. White. And voila. Okay, now we're going to take our dark brown, the darkest brown you have, and again, if you mix your own brown and you need it to be darker, then you're just going to add a little bit of black to it. Okay, and then watch what happens here. Okay, this is like magical. Okay, and you're not going to see all of them. Okay, the ones that are turned away from us, definitely not going to see it. Here, here. Okay. A little missy guy over here. Okay, and a little messy guy. It's really a little messy guy. So after that dries even a little bit more, because there's still quite a bit of paint on that. I will definitely go over it again. Okay, but I am so looking at this picture and thinking, done, 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 done. Love how loose those flowers are over here. So take a second glance, take a look at it, make sure everything is the way you want it to be. This is our picture. And I have to say, ours is even better. Okay. All right, so you can water down your paint a little bit, enough to make it nice and smooth to go ahead and sign this if you want to. Typically, I just wait until they dry. I don't know if it's kosher or not to actually do it that way. Just wait till they're dry, and then I get a permanent marker, a very thin one, and I sign them that way. Okay, so that's my own little method, certainly. And again, let me thank you. I enjoyed spending my time with you. Okay, so I'm going to turn this around so I can see you again. All right, and hopefully not get pink on my computer. Right, so here's a picture. Okay, I am Joan Turner, JoansArtGallery.com, IntuitiveBodyandSoul.com. You will be able to do one of these also. And again, just stop the recording if you need to, and that way you can catch up and go at your own pace and be very comfortable. Okay. So if you need anything, if you have any questions about this picture or any other projects that we have been working on, my email, Joanissa, which is Joan as in Nancy, S as in Stephen, @Comcast.net. You can email me and say, hey, you know, I didn't understand this part, or how do I mix orange again? All right. So any kind of questions like that, or if you want to know where you can view this video, give me a call, 978-807-7608. That'll work. You can email me, you can call me, anything at all. Okay. So I want to thank you. This has been the most awesome time here, and this is a Zoom meeting, so it's only my second Zoom meeting, so I'm looking for my little buttons here. Okay, so I have found my little buttons, so I am going to say goodbye and have an awesomely good day.